Well, I haven't done an update in quite a while. Thought it wouldn't be that important until I finally got everything in there and confirmed, in fact, that everything would fit. And very happy to find out that it will. I did have to modify the wrist portion, but nothing that I can't correct with some plastic to cover. But I'll show you that as I move along. Thought I'd do a little walkthrough as to what I have in here and what I had to do. First off, the display that I used is the same as what was originally in here. I took it out because I ended up buying a couple. I forget how many I've got. I think there's at least 10, because these things are becoming harder and harder to come by, where you get a 4:3 aspect ratio, which this is, 5-inch, which this is, and it's a VGA 640 by 480, and it came with two different version display driver boards, this being the full size, and there's one that's about half the size, and they give you both composite video and S-video, even though it can only deal with video up to 640 by 480. And to facilitate the interface between my display and the processor board that I used, which was the Raspberry Pi 3 Plus, I have these SVGA to HDMI converter boards that I modified. You'll see in earlier posts what I did. There's a 360 adapter board that I added to this, taking off the front HDMI connector and putting this on so that the connector actually comes in this way, and reduced the size of its interior space, and worked out really good. The SVGA connector came off and I hardwired. Again, a lot of this stuff is already discussed about in earlier text and video. What I have in this corner here is the amplifier. The amplifier gets its sound off of the HDMI board. The the Python software that I'm using, I could not find where the audio came out when using anything other than the HDMI and picking up the audio off of the HDMI. It just seemed to be the easiest solution, so that's what these wires are here, taking the audio out to the amplifier board. I'm using the speaker that was provided in the Bethesda prop, but a different amplifier. I tried to use as much of the switching that was already being used, but most of it was a weird 3-pin connector that would have required extensive mods to the software, which I was not ready to do. I did stick with the main menu selector switch, but the multi selector, which addresses the top menu inside each one of the functions, I had to remove, and that's where I did the hull switches. This is a little assembly that I put together to limit the amount of rotation that you get out of this connector, so that I can always have it start in the proper position so that the software doesn't get confused. This is the Arduino that, along with my Geiger counter circuit, drive the servo that gives me a rad scale or a rad meter that functions, whereas the Bethesda, it was just simply silk-screened artwork on a plastic piece. The radio dial, I don't know what I'm going to do there yet. I'm keeping this area open in case I run across a good reduction assembly that would allow me to... why is my voice all of a sudden... hold on for a second. Well, that's better. Yeah, it is. I don't talk all day, and when I decide to do the video, that's when everything goes to hell. I am using the original volume control with the amplifier, but I'm not using the switch that was built in. Since I never had a functioning Bethesda prop, I don't know what that switch did, whether it turned on and off the audio or what. Using the original power switch, though it has been modified, and what it does is it drives back here in the corner a relay that turns on the two step-down supplies. I've got a 5-volt supply there, a 9-volt supply there. 5-volt is obviously for the Raspberry Pi and for my Arduino. The 9-volt is for my Geiger counter circuit, and this relay here is what I use to turn it on and off, because I needed to kill the clicking if I didn't want it on. I wanted to be able to turn it on and off, since I do have a main power switch, it just seemed easier to have a secondary switch control the Geiger, and this, which used to be a selector knob that I, again, don't know what it actually did, I turned into a on-off, which, again, I'll flip the prop around and show it fully functional. This is the clicker sounder for the Geiger counter, and the Milner tube will fit right back here. I believe I could fit it underneath this ribbon circuit, but or flex circuit, but I don't want to turn around and put any stress on that connector or impose any kind of high frequency noise coming off of the tube, because it runs at about 450 volts, I believe, and the frequency here is, I think, about I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, so I'm not even going to say, but it's a fairly high frequency switcher that's driving this transformer. So yeah, I'm very pleased that this all came together and it works, and I wanted to do a quick little tour before I button it up, and I'm going to leave the area open so that here I can access the SD card. I am having some menu problems, but I think they're related to the software and not hardware, because in some menus everything works great, and in others they're a little bit prone to locking up, and I think that's to do with maybe something in the Python software. I'll have to take a look at it and see if maybe I can better adjust the speed and other things around the 3 Plus. So anyways, that's the way that is right now, and I'm going to end this right now and put the back on, and we'll flip it around and show it running. So I'll be right back.